Good morning, Lucky Follow Christian Church. This is Beth Little, and I am coming to you from the house to give you a brief introduction to what our study is going to be today in Sunday school at the church. Sunday school starts at 10, and if you hurry, you'll still have time to get up there and come to class. And I know that Jeremy's going to have an amazing lesson today for us too, so good morning, Bryn. There's my girl. And so I just pray that this will be a good lesson for you. But we're going to finish Matthew, the 25th chapter today. And so this is going to be verses 31 through 46. And this is the part of Matthew 25 that's going to talk about the final judgment. And so let's get right into the lesson. Oh, one other thing I want to mention today is ladies' meeting. So thank you, Bryn. You're so precious. And so be sure, and ladies, and if you have a friend, bring a friend with you to ladies' meeting, because today our lesson is going to be of the color yellow, and it's going to be about light. I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but we'll have the light of life. That's the memory verse for today. Okay, so final judgment. In verse 31, we're just going to go ahead and do the reading, and then we'll discuss a little bit. But when the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels are with him, just think about, now Jesus is coming back, and he's going to bring all of his angels. And if you've ever read Revelation, it tells you, you just imagine the thousands and thousands and thousands and millions. I even think of billions of angels. I just can't even fathom how many angels there are that are in heaven. But, Revelation tells you how the number, it was like 10,000 times 10,000. And so when he comes back with all the angels with him, then he will sit upon his glorious throne. And we often refer to this as the great white throne judgment, because we know that Jesus is going to be the judge. All the nations will be gathered in his presence, and he will separate the people as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. Now we know that when we go back and read in the Old Testament, that often sheep and goats, when they were out grazing, that they grazed together, and then they would separate the sheep from the goats when they got ready to shear the sheep. So this is something that the people that are listening to this parable would have understood completely, of how you have to separate the sheep from the goats. And this is what his reference is on what it's going to be like in the final judgment. And I can't help but tell you that when the minister Jeremy was a little boy, and I was telling him this lesson about the sheep and the goats, and he said, "Mama, am I a sheep or a goat?" And I said, "Honey, you are a little lamb." I just wonder if he remembers that. Anyway, verse 33 says, he will place the sheep at his right hand and the goats at his left hand. And then 34 says, then the king will say to those on his right, come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the creation of the world. So let's picture this, guys. This is an incredible scene. It might be the most marvelous scene you can imagine in any of Jesus's parables, when he's saying, this is the final white throne judgment, and I'm going to tell all the people to line up on my right or line up on my left, and divide them out like the sheep and the goats. Now, this isn't just Christians. Guys, this says right here that it will be the people that are from all nations, and that it will, those that are blessed by my Father inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the creation of the world. But he's going to line up everybody. All the nations will be gathered in his presence. So whether you people are Muslim, or whether they are Buddhist, or whether they are whatever group that they've studied, everybody's going to be lined up in front of Jesus Christ. And at that time there will be no one saying Jesus was just a good prophet, or he was just a good teacher. They're going to have to realize that Jesus is the Christ, and they're going to have to proclaim that he is the Son of God. He is God. And so as they're lined up, and you just picture that, and then when they're asked, okay, why do I have to go on one side? Why am I a goat and I'm not a sheep? And so, but he's saying to the ones that he's calling the sheep that will inherit what's been prepared from them since the beginning of time, he says, for I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in. I was naked and you clothed me. I was sick and you visited me. I was in prison and you came to me. That's Matthew 25, 35, and 36. Then these righteous ones will reply, Lord, when did we ever see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink, or a stranger and show you hospitality, or naked and give you clothing? When did we ever see you sick or in prison and visit you? And the king will say, I tell you the truth, when you did it for one of the least of these, my brothers and sisters, you did it for me. Okay, let's stop just a moment. Let's just stand back and look at it. Okay, so when we help people in this life, when we help feed people who are hungry, we help clothe people who don't have clothing, when we do all the things that we give hospitality to strangers, and when people are thirsty and we give them something to drink, what we need to do is just picture we're handing that to Jesus. We're doing that for Jesus. That's what he's saying right here. When you do it for the least of these, my brothers and sisters, you did it for me. So picture Jesus in that. And then the king will turn to those on the left, and he will say, now these are the goats who didn't do that. They didn't do any of that for anybody. They just took care of themselves. They were very selfish. Didn't worry about anybody but me. And he will turn to them and he will say, you cursed ones, away with you into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his demons. For I was hungry and you didn't feed me. I was thirsty and you didn't give me anything to drink. I was a stranger and you didn't invite me into your home. I was naked and you didn't give me clothing. I was sick and in prison and you didn't visit me. And they also will answer to him. These are the ones who have been sent into eternal hellfire. They are also saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or naked or sick or in prison, and we didn't minister to you? Then he will answer them saying, assuredly, I say to you, inasmuch as you did not do this to the least of these, you did not do it for me. And these will go away in everlasting punishment, but be righteous into but the righteous will go into eternal life. So it's eternal life or eternal death. And guys, we know that our works don't save us. We know that because we're told that we're not saved by works. We're saved by grace. We're saved by faith. We're saved by declaring that Jesus is the Christ, and we're being immersed in baptism, and we come up and we live the life that is pleasing to God. And we are Christians that someone can look at us and say, oh, yeah, I know they're Christians because they act like Christians. They help people. They are faithful. They always turn to God. They trust in him. They pray. Those are all things that are just so important that we do, and that we show that to our children. And that when our children are growing up, that they have that example to look toward. And Bryn Banfield, I see you out there, and I know for a fact that every night your parents pray with you before you go to sleep. Do you know what a wonderful thing that is to start your life and go all through your life always talking to God as if he's your friend and asking him to look over you and take care of you? And that's a habit that you start when you're a child, and you will carry it through the rest of your life. You are really blessed by that, Miss Brian. I'm so happy you have such good parents. Okay, let's talk about the commentary just a minute. This is one of the most vivid parables that Jesus ever spoke, and the lesson is very clear. God will judge us in accordance with our reaction to human need. His judgment does not depend on the knowledge that we've amassed or the fame that we've acquired or the fortune that we've gained, but it will depend on the help that we have given. This parable teaches us about the help we must give. Number one, it's help for simple things, guys. It's not hard. It's things that anybody can do, like giving food to a hungry person, or a drink to a thirsty person, or welcoming a stranger, or cheering the sick, or visiting a prisoner. These are things that anybody can do. It must be help that is uncalculated. In other words, those who helped did not think they were helping so that they were going to gain something. They're just doing it because they're Christians and because in their heart they want to be helpful. It's natural. It's instinctive. It was uncalculating. It was a reaction out of love. And one more thing, and it's from the Life Application Study Bible, that tells us God will separate his obedient followers from pretenders and unbelievers. The real evidence of our belief is in the way we act. Okay, guys, hope you get to come to church today. If you didn't, I'm really glad that you joined me here for Lake Eufaula Christian Church Sunday School class. I love you guys, and I'll see you next week or even today if you come to class.